People are losing their mind that Mark Carney spent over $772,000 on in-flight catering and accommodation last year. Yet, the question I have for you guys, is he just the problem, or is the problem something that is very common in Ottawa? Tonight, we speak about the numbers. My name is Nico Hagen, and I'm too conservative for the conservatives. My co-host Rob Ambrose, not woke enough for the liberals. We are the political orphans. I don't know if you saw that, but it's reported like people on the right are losing their mind that Carney is reported
Sure.
to have spent over $772,000 on in-flight catering and accommodations. For a lot of people, that's a lot of money, me included, obviously.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
for you,
yeah.
but I
Not a
don't
good
spend
look.
that type of cash. I don't spend that type of cash on catering. Not even the flights, right? Just the catering and
Yeah, no,
accommodation. But
it's a garbage look. But I actually think the angle I think you're going to go with it, I think is the right one. This really, I mean, you shit on the guy, you shit on Carney now because he's the one in power, but this is not a partisan thing. You know, the conservatives will be doing if Polyev was prime minister, he'd be doing the same thing. This is an Ottawa thing. This is a politics thing.
I appreciate that because that is exactly where I was going with this. The whole point,
Yeah, I could
what
tell you
at
were
least
heading there.
my content as a real conservative is not only exposing what the left is doing, but also calling out my leaders that are supposed to be conservatives. And I don't know if you remember, but what was it, about 11 days ago? Remember when the picture of Kai Polyev sitting in coach went viral, like he
Yeah.
was on his way to the conservative convention? People are just like, "Oh, this is my type of man right there. He sits with
Man
the
of the people.
commoners. What a great guy." And if you haven't seen that episode, I'm going to cover some of it, but I literally went like 30 minutes talking about this, so I'll link it in the comment section below, but this is what it reminded me of, right? So we have an article here from the National Post, and the numbers are pretty bad when you actually look at it. The numbers are not good. So here is the article from the
How
National
do you
Post,
spend
and
that much?
the headline is 70 Carney spent over 70 $772,000 on in-flight catering and accommodation last year, records show. And oh, don't I hate when they do that? Hold on.
Do the you go to that
Oh, I
that
know, bro.
okay.
Oh, I know. I use this thing
You got her?
literally every day.
You got
Yeah,
her?
I'm just loading it up right now. So let me bring that back up because it seems that it's a pay for article, but we got a way to go around it.
Pay for play.
And to go around at the paywall. And there it is. Do you see my screen?
Yep.
Perfect. So it says Carney spent over $772,000 on in-flight catering and accommodation last year, records show. And then you start looking at the numbers because they break it down. Prime Minister Carney spent at least $300,000 on in-flight catering during his travels since taking office last March, plus at least another $472,000 when he got where he was going, records from Global Affairs Canada show. There's a little breakdown here, but I'm going to show you the actual report from Global Affairs. But it just goes to show that we're talking since this report, because remember that their fiscal year is not done yet, right? It's going to be done in March. So as I showed in the video that I did about Pierre Poliev, their expenses are not shown yet. Like the whole thing is not available, but it is mentioning here that since June, Carney has made an additional 15 international trip till the end of 2025. And the cost that we're talking about here, the cost that was reported by Global Affair is one, two, three, four, five, and six flight. That doesn't count the other 15. So next year is going to be it's going to be very freaking interesting how big those that expense report actually is.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'd like to see them say like what are some of the averages that previous prime ministers have incurred, because I feel like that matters
Perfect.
too. Like obviously they're going to spend a little bit. They're going to spend some money just as prime minister, and you get that. But 772,000 seems insane. Like even giving them, okay, it's the prime minister. He's obviously going to travel in some sort of luxury. I don't really have an issue with that. But $772,000, that's more than in what, 6 months, 5 months?
Literally, it's not even done. Like they're saying that there's another 15 by June. So it sounds to me that all they showed is the first quarter of him being in power. So he was elected in April. That means that report probably covers, but he was, he became prime minister without being elected by just replacing Trudeau, by becoming the leader of the Liberal Party. So basically, the report would cover March, April, May, and June. So that's why they're saying since June he's done another 15 trips. Because if you go to the website, I can show it later where the numbers they take the numbers from. It's the same website you see on your screen right now, rcommons.ca. This is where you can get the expense report of every single MP of all time, as far as I know. Like it goes back years and years, but they're
Mhm.
always quite a few months behind because they have to produce their expense report. I don't know how long they have. It seems like they have at least 6 months. But all to say that the $472,000 that they're talking about, like you can see right now, the Global Affairs Canada, it's only for 6 trips. So when he went to Paris, France, cost of hotel accommodation is at 39,415. When he went to the UK to London, 36 over $36,000. This is insane. When he went to Washington, this is literally an hour and a half trip by plane. 48 over $48,000. Holy See is the Vatican. Remember, he went to the Vatican when he first
Mhm.
got elected for the new pope. $133,000, and it's reported that his wife and kid, like his daughter, his boy, whatever, was part of that trip. The Hague, Netherlands, $141,000, and Brussels, Belgium, 73,000 dollars. So they don't go into details as to what this is exactly. They just call it cost of hotel accommodation. But man, 40 grand to go to Paris, 36 grand to go to London, almost 50 grand to go to Washington, 134 grand to go to the Vatican, 140 to go to the Netherlands, and almost 75 grand to go to Belgium. It's just like those numbers are just insane. They make zero sense. Absolutely 0 cents.
No, I mean, I suppose, can you find previous reports on that website? Like, because I would be interested to see, how much did Trudeau spend, how much did Harper spend on an
Oh
average
yeah.
trip?
Oh yeah. No,
That's
those you can all find if you go to I have the
because
website
I feel like
here.
Trudeau's probably up there, but even him, I don't know, man. I bet you even him, I bet you he didn't even spend $772,000 in 6 months.
Well, the
Dude's fucking playing Playboy, millionaire Playboy, probably just throwing parties for the rich and famous, right?
Well, that's the problem, and this is why I was asking the question, is this a Ottawa problem? Is it a Mark Carney problem? Or is it something that's rampant? Like that's something that happens all the time in Ottawa. And when you start looking into it, you start realizing that this is nothing new. That there's a leader in particular that people really like in Canada. Well, you either hate him or love him, in Pierre Poilievre, which is recognized as the biggest spender. He is the one that spends the most in the parliament. And that's kind of where the conversation started, right? This morning I was browsing and I see this post here. I see this post from the pleb. I'm gonna bring it up right now. It's just loading, and let me share my screen right here. Boom, boom. Share screen. I see this post by Lipleb saying Mark Carney spent $230,000 on in-flight food in hotels paid by taxpayers. He wasn't even close. It's more like 772,000. Taxpayer flies around the world, flies around Canada in economy class, trying not to waste our taxpayers' money. Who's better for Canada? And you see, obviously, that very
Hmm.
that
Yeah,
picture
I
that
mean
went viral.
it's probably an effective angle to take. It's all politics, right? Because Polyev would be doing the exact same thing, but he's not, and that's why he does things like fly around in the first class, or sorry, the economy class cabin, so that he can then make this kind of big deal. And frankly, it's smart politics. I mean, that's you should be doing that, but it feels like it's crude politics. Like it wouldn't be. It's for the low information voter out there who isn't really familiar with the politics and the games, and they'll be like, oh yeah, Polyev, he is the guy. He's such a level-headed man of the people, that guy.
Well,
But yeah, I
I'm happy
mean,
you
I
say
think
that.
it'll.
I'm happy you say that because it's accurate. It's completely inaccurate. It's 100% inaccurate, and that's why I was saying I'm gonna tag. I'm gonna put the video description in
Yep.
the comment section because I'm not gonna go through the 30-minute deep dive that I did a few weeks back on this. But the point of the matter is that people want to believe that this is just a liberal problem when in fact it's a political problem. And here's why I say this because Pierre Poliev has the highest expense report in the whole MP. Like every single MP out there, there's nobody that comes close to him. And if you want, can you re-put the views
Yep.
properly? Because like I said, my screen is brand new and it is not displaying this properly. So if you want to put it back to both of the
Wait, where are
views,
we?
because I can't
Oh, I
see.
got you. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yep, yep, that's
Yep.
it. So basically what we're seeing is the report on Mark Carney. But then when you start digging, and like I said, the digging is done through www.ourcommons.ca. They keep records of every single MP out there in the expense report. But in the last full year report, 2024-2025, Pierre Poliev was the highest spender at $8.8 million for a year. You asked about Trudeau. Trudeau was the second highest spender at $4.2 million. And then you had Jagmeet Singh, if I remember correctly, don't quote me on this one, was
This isn't over 1 year
1.7
though.
million.
This is what,
Yes.
over a 4-year
No,
period or something?
no, 1
What?
year.
What?
Those are
One
expense
year?
report for a year. Bro, we went through this.
Holy
You and we
hell.
actually went through
I
this
remember I
and
remember the numbers, but for some reason I think I had myself thinking that was like over the course of Trudeau's 4-year term.
no, 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 no,
Um
no, no, no,
that
that is 1 year. 1
that's
year.
that's fucking wild.
Well, we're going to go through it because I did a deep dive today as to how much does an MP make? How much do they cost Canadian tax dollars? Because there's another story that we're going to cover right after this that blows my mind. I wasn't really aware that our MPs get an automatic pay raise every single year, and those numbers are significant. Like they get automatically an upgrade every April 1st. Like it's a fucking joke, but it's not a joke. It's actually the reality of things. But I wanted to show how it is a problem that we're seeing in Ottawa as a whole. It's not just them. And once we go through the numbers, you're kind of going to flip out. I have problems believing that this is true, but man, it's all based on numbers that you can find. I'm going to bring it up to the screen again just so that uh, people understand that I'm not lying about this. This is, you can see the website right here. You can see the website right here. So rcommons.ca. You can go, it's called proactive disclosure members, but you basically can look at every single MP, how much they make, what's their salary, their travels, how much they're spending, and you can look at it from quarter reports. So the latest one that's been published that's available right now is from July 1st to September 30th. So that global affairs report was for the first quarter. Actually, no, that would be, well, yeah, it's the first quarter because remember it starts in March, it ends in March, right? Their year are March to March or April to March. So that was regarding this one here. But see how you can find whoever you want. You can literally just go, shit, of course, you can go Poliev and it's going to show you expense reports. So you can literally go through rcommons.ca and you're able to find whoever you're interested in seeing, and it will display what they spent. So this is available, it's public knowledge for everyone. But like I said, we're talking about $8.8 million for Pierre Poliev, which is this is just insane. Like we talked about this before, and it makes sense that a prime minister spends the most, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because you're traveling the world, you have engagements all over the place. I get it. I don't agree. Don't get me wrong. I don't agree with the amount of money that they're spending. It's absolutely insane,
No,
if
it's
you ask me.
excessive. But I mean,
Yes.
he's not going to swim over that, right? Like you also you're not going to fly the prime minister of your country over. I like there's got to be some perks to the job, and I get that. But there's a limit, there's a line, right?
Well, that's the whole point, right?
Or there should
Where
be.
is where is that
Yeah.
line? Because this is where this all started. Is did you guys know that every single April 1st Canadian members of parliament get an automatic raise? I wasn't really
I didn't
aware
know
of
that.
this. Most people don't because it's not
How much is it?
something that they want to report. Well, this is where things get very interesting. So the estimated automatic pay increase this year is projected to be 4.2%. In 2024, it was 4.4%, and last year was 3.2%. But this year, we're talking 4.2%, which, as per the Parliament of Canada Act, the salary increase is based on the index published by the Employment and Social Development Canada Department. That index tracks every union contact in Canada with over 500 employees. It averages them out, and that is the representation of the numbers we're seeing. So 4.2%. To explain it in layman's term, basically they track the biggest, any union that has more than 500 employees as part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever their increase is year over year, that is what they use for theirs. So in 2025,
That's
they took,
crazy. I can't
it is not,
believe
it is
that's
not based
fucking
on,
wild.
it is not based on real private sector jobs. It is based on the union section jobs.
Go-
So the
government unions.
unions with over 500 employees is the definition that I found.
Because
So this could
because
pretty much be,
what a
but
conflict
keep
of
in mind,
interest. If you have the
keep in
people
mind,
like
five to
the
seven
go ahead.
dollars more. If you look at the average salary of a unionized individual in Canada versus non-unionized, they are paid $5 to $7 more per hour. That's the average. So you're talking about the section of Canadians that probably are paid the most or very close to being the most, because unions could be anything from doctors, could be anything from private sector manufacturing. Like it can be anything. There's a lot of jobs that have unions. Like I worked in the telco industry for 20 years. As a sales engineer, I wasn't part of a union, but the guys that did the installs, the guys that actually went out there, installed the equipment, did the maintenance, they
Yeah.
were all part of a union because I used to work with Videotron, which falls under the federal government legislation. Like your regulations are federal, so they had a union, and those guys are paid extremely well. So basically, their 4.2% increase is based on the people that make the most money in
Like
Canada.
whichever
They
union
average
gets the biggest raise that year, they match it. That's
eh,
how it works.
so any union with more than 500 employees as part of their union, they
Mhm.
take them all, they add them together, they average them out, and whatever the number is, in this case, this year, for last year, it was 4.2%. So this year, the increase is 4.2%. So it's not
I don't
based
know
on real
anybody
private
who's getting a
sectors.
4 to 5% raise every year. That's insane.
No, but think about it this way, right? The unions look at a Canada Post, for example. They're averaging money, but they have a union, so they have a very specific clause in their contract with the employers that says every year you're going to get that much money automatically. That's what unions normally do, right? They
Yeah,
fight for
yeah.
the
They
people.
they they collective bargaining agreements. They usually get like
Ex-
guaranteed raises X amounts for the next 3 years or five
yeah,
years or what have you, whatever negotiate.
but that's what they base their increase on, not the average increase of the private sector jobs, like regular people that are not
Yeah, the
unionized.
unions.
No, no,
Yeah.
the people that are the most paid as part of the private sector is what they base. So any
Well,
union above 500 people, which you know exactly why they do that, because they know they're
it's
insured
gonna. They
to
know it's
have a
gonna give
raise
them
every year,
a 4 to 5% raise every single year. So yeah, I mean that's nobody gets that. But it's
unless you're in a
also
union.
yeah, it's also if they're including government unions, and I assume that they do. There's also a huge conflict of interest there, right? Because a lot of times it's the politicians that are sometimes they have to step in to strikes or agreements. Carney tried to do it um, with the flight stewardesses strike a few months
Yeah.
back, and it's just like what a massive conflict of interest where you have the people whose job it is to possibly mediate these strikes, but their salary is dependent on the result of this strike. That's a massive conflict of interest.
Of course it is. Of course it is. But then you look, but let's dig into this a bit further, right? So to put it into perspective, their current base salary right now, we're talking every single MP out there, like the backbenchers, the people that
Yep.
were elected, but they don't have more, they don't have more responsibilities. They're the lowest paid, but the average MP. Right now, as we speak, the base salary for a backbencher is $209,800. With the 4.2 increase, you're talking about $8,000 more a year, which will bring their salary to $218,000 and 600. Minister or opposition leader, they're currently making $309,700. Their 4.2% increase is $13,000. So their new salary as per April 1st will be 322,700. And the prime minister is making $419,600 right now. 4.2% increase, you're looking at 17,600, which will bring the prime minister's salary, yearly salary, to 437 and $200. But as somebody that
Crazy.
had, oh,
Yeah,
100% it
like
is, but it gets worse. It gets a
what
lot
are we
worse
getting
than
for
that
this?
though.
What are we getting for
Well,
this?
well, be, be,
What's
be,
because we're paying these salaries, right? So what are we,
oh
what's
yeah.
the benefit to us? What are they giving us?
Well, this is the thing, right? When you people only think about base salary, but there's a reason why it's called a base salary. I worked at commission for 12 years. I had a base salary that was assured that I would get, and then I would have other benefits like
Oh,
commissions, for example.
and you know they get
But
top benefits there.
but I could double my salary, triple your salary by commissions alone, right off of your base. So this is the thing that most people don't talk about is as I started looking at all their benefits earlier and starting going down that rabbit hole that I went today, there's five other points that we need to consider, actually six other points that we need to consider on top of their base salary. One of the things that they get is that every single MP, no matter who they are, they receive a budget to run their offices,
Mm,
one in Ottawa and one in their riding. The amount, you're gonna flip out, bro. The amount normally ranges from $350,000 a year to $400,000 a year per MP.
that's
This
insane.
covers this
And
covers staff salaries, researcher, assistant,
they get to pick
office rent.
they get to pick their staff, and they get to pick where they put these offices, I'm sure.
Of
So
course.
there's so much room for corruption there, right? Like I bet you half these guys own the buildings that their offices are
Oh,
in. So the government's paying rent to them, right? And they're hiring their friends, they're putting their friends and family on staff. Like there's so much potential for corruption there.
hold on. That's just one of other six. And there's another one that's messed up. It's really, really messed up, but we'll go through them. So the second one is travel point system. They get 64 points. So MPs don't pay for their own travel from and to Ottawa, obviously. They're giving 64 points return trips per year. The perk, these points can be used by the MP, their spouse, or even their children slash dependents. So it's not just the MPs, it's the MP families that gets to travel back and forth from wherever they are to Ottawa 64 times a year.
That's a sweet gig.
And here's where it gets very interesting, and it kind of proves the point that I was making last time when I was saying that Pierre Poliev does not normally fly coach, and the numbers shows it. Remember, I was showing you his expense report. I correlated what the costs of coach were on that flight compared to being business class, and they all correlated with business class. Here's what's interesting is that as part of the 64 points system, business class, most of these flights are booked at the highest flexible fare rate, which is business class, meaning a single weekend trip for an MP from BC or Alberta could cost taxpayers between five to
That's
$8,000.
fucking crazy, man. These
So
this is
that's two,
not.
right?
Yeah.
Number one, obviously they have their base salary, then they have their budget that they get to run 350 to $400,000 on average ish is what they say. Then they have the travel system point. Then here's where it gets really messed up because as soon as I read the title, I'm like, mother, I know exactly what they're doing with this. The third thing that they get is called the secondary residence allowance. Basically, anybody that lives more than 100 kilometers from Ottawa can claim up to roughly $30,000 a year to cover rent, utilities, and property taxes on a second home or apartment in the capital. That's about 2,500 bucks a month, just so you guys know. But
Yeah,
here's
holy.
where, as soon as I
Most people pay their rent out of their salary. These guys,
yeah,
it's paid in addition to their salary.
listen to this, listen to this. So from what I understand, from the research that I was able to look at that I was able to make today, they are able to use they're able to use their home,
So they
something
can just
that
buy a
they
house.
purchase. Well, so they're able to use the second residence allowance on the property that they own, either themselves, their partner owns or that both of them owns, but they can't claim the mortgage directly. But what they can do, they obtain a flat rate, which is between $32 to $33 a day, which if you put that by
What was that?
365, that's 11,680. Let's calling $12,000 for sake of argument. But they're able to pay property taxes, condo fees, utilities, and they get to keep the leftovers. So whatever the leftover is after you pay that, out of that 12,000 ish dollars a year, they can do whatever they want. So technically, they cannot claim their mortgage as an expense, a direct expense, but they can claim the flat
Everything.
expense of $32 to $33 a day. So whatever's left from that $12,000 after they pay condo fees, taxes, utilities, they can do whatever they want. So technically, they could take that and dump it on their mortgage.
Yeah.
Obviously, if they're smart, they own an LLC that owns an apartment, a
Yeah.
house in Ottawa. They
And it's
rent
paying
it from
them.
the business and they rent, so they get to spend almost 30 grand a
I
year
guarantee this
on
is what most
whatever.
of them do.
Right,
They own
they
they
own.
own they
Come
own the
on.
apartments that they're paying rent on.
So basically, this is what it means: is that an MP could buy a condo in Ottawa, use the flat rate to pay property taxes, condo fees, utilities, and whatever is left they can dump on a mortgage. Imagine they do that for 4 years, 8 years, however long they elected for. Then they sell the condo and they get 100% of the profit. None of that money goes back to taxpayers. This is theirs. This belongs to them. So not only do they not pay for their second residency, but they get to make money off of it. And you know that those guys are not going to put their name on the mortgage. Obviously not.
No, of course
They're
not.
going to
Not that.
have, no, they're going to have they're going to have a business that owns that, or they're going to have friends that owns that rents it to them. They get a kickback. You know where I'm going with this, right?
Mhm.
Then the fourth thing that they get is that they get a per diem or daily cash. When they're in Ottawa for Parliament business, they get a daily allowance for meals and incidental expenses. That's roughly between $100 to $120 a day just for being at work. That covers their lunch and dinner. That's not bad though, right? Like 100, let's say that it's $100. You're
40
paying
bucks a meal? Like,
$100. That's $50 a meal.
Jesus, that's wild, man.
And then you spit hostility events. Let's call them events, right?
Mhm.
They have a specific budget to host events, town halls, meet and greet in their writing. This covers the food, room rental, advertising, flyers, marketing, all that stuff. So on top of their base salary, they have their budget to run their offices. That could be between 350 to 400 grand a year. They have their travel point system, 64 trips that can be used by them, their family, their dependent. Secondary resident allowance. Then they have their per diem daily cash, 100 to 120 bucks a day. Then they have the events that gets paid for. But then there's another
Mhm.
portion that we have to remember, pensions, because they have one of the best pension plan in Canada, obviously. So
Mhm.
MP's pension, this is wild, man. The MP pension is not based on their lifetime average salary, but it's based on the top 5 consecutive years. And considering that they get an automatic increase every single year,
That's
you know
crazy.
that their latest years is the biggest. You need
How many terms
six
do they need
years.
to do to get 6
6 years.
years?
If you get 6 years, by what I could calculate earlier, if you get 6 years in, you get a $30,000 pension a year for the rest of your life. So 6 years, about
Crazy.
30,000. So you look like a guy like Pepeliev that's been there for 20 years plus. He capped his pension already, as
Mhm.
in he doesn't need to participate more, but obviously his salary is going to keep on going up because they're giving
Yeah,
themselves raise every year. But so while they're working, they get an increase based on the index that is calculated union on unionized individuals are part of a union that's bigger than 500 and more. That's during their time as MP. When they retire and they get their pension, that pension increases every year based on the reported inflation. So if
that's
if you factor in everything, so salary, pension contribution, the five type of expenses that I've been through with you guys, the estimate here for the total tax burden that every single backbenchers can easily go up more than $700,000 a year. Some estimates are above 800. Those are backbenchers, man.
that's
Seven
crazy.
hundred thousand dollars a year, and
It's a sweet gig if you can get it. Um, and I guess it begs the question, like, what are we as taxpayers getting for all that money? Right? How's the
well, the
economy doing?
questions,
How's the economy doing?
and you're talking right now as
How's
we
GDP
speak.
growth been for the last 11 years?
Well, this is where I wanted to go with this. The whole reason I wanted to speak about this is kind of find what we believe to be solutions to this, right? Because we're talking right now 343 MPs. Let's say we'll take the lowest numbers and we'll do it by $700,000 a year that they cost us. You know how much money 343 members of parliaments cost us every year?
How much?
$240 million.
That's insane. Is that
We're
is
fucking,
that everything?
we're,
That's salaries. That's like
that's
benefits.
700,000.
That's
I took the lowest average of the back benchers that they're
okay.
saying can cost about 700,000. Some estimations are more in the 800, but let's keep it as low as possible. You're talking about $240 million a year that our MPs cost us on average every year. So the whole point of this is to kind of show that this is not a liberal versus conservative problem. This is not a left versus right problem. This is clearly a politician problem. And the question for the guys out there is, considering that the average Canadian salary right now as we speak is around $68,000, like it's between 65 and 68. So let's use 68,000 for sake of argument. That means that just the base salary of an MP, that's not with all the traveling, what they cost us, just their base salary without the pension, they make more than 3 times the average Canadian salary.
Yeah, and that I mean to
So
me, I mean,
what's the solution? Because that's a question I have for you, and I think I have one. I would love to hear what you guys think, and this is why I wanted to leave. We still have 18 minutes to go. I wanted to talk to you guys to see what you guys think, but in my opinion, the members of parliament should make the average Canadian salary, and at the end of their term, they get to touch a bonus that is voted on by the constituents of their riding. They have a referendum, very simple, yes, no. Do they touch their bonus? Have they represented us in Ottawa? Have they made a difference for us? Yes, they touch the bonus. No, no bonus. So they get the average Canadian salary plus a bonus that is voted on
hmm,
by the people from their riding. That would be my solution. I'm not,
yeah.
I think it
I,
makes
I,
sense.
I mean, I kind of like the idea. I don't begrudge. the politicians of the country, let's just say for a second, not these exact politicians, but just the idea that people that are going to work in parliament, let's assume for a second that they're all doing it for the right reasons, because they love this country and they're patriots. I mean, we obviously know it's not true, but let's just say for a second that's the case. I don't mind them making more than the average, but I think it should be pegged to the average. Maybe the average salary plus 20% or something. We supposedly want these guys to be held in some high esteem. I don't mind them, and generally in the real world, if you do an important job, then you get paid a little more. Now, the problem is they're not really doing any job. Like how many days this year have they sat? Like, it's one of those things. I don't mind paying money for a government that's functional, that's effective. It's this is the benefits that they currently have, though. That is crazy. Like, I don't know exactly where the line is, but I know it when I see it, that it's been passed and crossed, and that is crossed when the average MP, the average, is costing us $700,000 a year.
But that's insane.
Crazy.
I never, you don't see those numbers anywhere. I had to sit down and kind of track them and kind of see what the reports are saying, but you don't see them in one place where people can just say, hey, those are the numbers. But once you start looking into it, I was looking at it like $700,000 a year. Why? Why are they costing us that much? And you start looking at all the benefits that they have, and like you said, how easy is it for them to take 100,000%, and I gotta give credit to one single person here. One. I found one single person because I was about to make that post today, and I'm happy I saw that before I did, because there's one single MP that I could find that said no to the raise. One MP. The name of the guy, he deserves credit. I will show this. Here's the post. Conservative MP Mike Dawson is turning down the April 1st MP pay raise. And basically he says, I was elected as the member of parliament for Miramichi Grand Lake on April 28, 2025. It has come to my attention that all members of parliament are set to receive a 4.2% raise on April 1st, 2026. At a time where every day, Canadians are struggling to keep up with the rising cost of living, I cannot in good conscience accept the pay raise increase of nearly $10,000, which every member of parliament is set to receive. It is frankly distasteful that parliamentarians are set to receive a raise while the working man and woman in this country hasn't seen a decent raise in decades. Before becoming a member of parliament, I was a drywaller and contractor, so this is a topic which I know a thing or two about. Therefore, please make the necessary arrangement with the Payroll and Benefits Administration to ensure that this is done. Respectfully, Mike Dawson, MP. I like this guy.
Yeah.
I like him, but that is one. I saw one.
I wonder if that kicks off more, but probably not. I mean, that's pretty.
I don't see Carney taking I don't see Carney not taking the increase. I don't see Poliev not taking the increase, although that would be a great.
Smart. It'd be good politics.
Oh, it'd be good politics, 100%, to just say, you know what, we will not take an increase. We will freeze that increase until such and such, until the economy is growing by this percent. Like, this is the type of policies that can win you votes. I don't see it happening. I don't smoke weed. I don't smoke drugs, so I'm not high enough to believe in fairy tales. But what a great political move that would be. But all the respect to Mr. Mike Dawson.
Yeah. No, I mean, you don't see too many like that anymore. And I mean, at first I was reading that, I was like, okay, it's probably a bit. I mean, I'm so jaded, right? I'm just assuming like he's probably some billionaire or something. He's just super rich. So he's just going to give it up, gut up for political points. But yeah, no, for if he's literally just a contractor slash drywaller who became an MP, I mean that's the kind of guy you need. You need Parliament filled with those kind of guys. We'd be in a completely different place.
Would not agree with you more. This is exactly the type of guy I want as an MP. A guy that's just a
Yeah.
regular dude that did. So he ran as an MP because he wanted to make changes. Unfortunately, I think he's going to have a very hard realization that people just don't care. MPs just don't care. They're in it for themselves. And
Most of
again,
them are
this
in
is
there
not
for
liberal
yeah.
but it's not liberal versus conservative because one of the things also that we need to add to this, and Pelosi being the perfect example, the smartest, most profitable investor of all time, Nancy Pelosi in the US, doesn't care about her salary. But don't tell me that sitting on all those committees when you're aware of the legislation that you're going to pass in the future, this will dictate pretty much your investments, right? And there's reports out there, and I don't know how accurate they are, but there's a lot of reports out there that indicates that Pierre Poilievre is worth millions and millions of dollars. I've seen numbers up to $20 million. That guy is a public servant. Like Mark Carney is worth probably in the hundreds of millions of dollars, but he did not make his money as prime minister. He made his money fucking everybody else. But he did it before he became an MP, before he became prime minister. But Pierre Poilievre is a perfect example because that guy's never done anything else. He was in his early 20s or mid 20s when he became an MP. So his whole
Yeah,
career
yeah. That's all
is
he's done.
being an MP. And there's estimations out there that are close to $20 million. Now, is that accurate or not? I don't know. You know, how somebody's worth is very hard to prove,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he ain't poor. But somebody like Nancy Pelosi shows that the base salary is not what they want. They want the connections. They want to be
The
aware of
insider
the
knowledge.
laws that are coming. Of course. And don't tell me that we're not doing the same thing in Canada. That's a politician thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the same deal. If you're in Parliament, you're going to have access to inside information, same as members of Congress do in the states, and it's the kind of information that could make all you have to do is know something an hour before it becomes public. That's it. All it takes is 5 minutes to call your broker. Hey, buy 1,000 shares of this, right? It's how that's what's really. And the thing is like, yeah, I get the argument that in the grand scheme of like if you look at the budget for the Canadian government budget, that the 800 or the 200 and whatever million is probably a tiny fraction. Okay, fair, but that's not really as I see it. That's not the issue. The issue is when you make the job a gravy train and basically promise that you will be rich if you just get elected here. It's going to incentivize exactly the wrong kind of people exactly the people we don't want to be in Parliament. That's the harm of it. It's not just that it's a waste of money. It's that you're getting in people who fundamentally are doing it to get rich. I want that, like drywallers. I want farmers. I want fucking and just regular ass people with regular ass jobs who are there to actually make a difference. That's how you make a country great.
Couldn't agree with you more, man. That is exactly what we're not seeing. But that is, again, that is not just a Canadian thing either, right? This is just a
No, no, no. It's
politician
all
problem
it's
throughout the
yeah.
world.
We've made the job into a glamorous, high paying, high status job, and it really isn't meant to be. I understand. I don't mind if these guys make 20% more than the average. That's fine. And I don't even mind if they if they're going on government business. That's fine for the government to pay their fucking economy class ticket. Well, I don't know why we're paying business class for the furthest back bencher in Parliament gets first class, like business class tickets. That's crazy. But like, yeah, regular people with regular jobs. That's how you fix a lot of the mess that we're in.
I just went down a rabbit hole, man. I started doing research. I'm like, oh, son of a. it just keeps worse and worse and worse. I understand
Yeah.
why people with a lot of money are still interested in MP positions. And it's
Yeah,
not
of
because of the
course.
base
It's not
salary. It's not just
no,
but it's not
it's
really the base salary.
connections,
It's
it's the
all the
information.
perks,
Yeah.
all the
And
perks that
the way you can work the system, right?
what's her name? Chrystia Freeland. She is literally not even in Canada anymore, and she's still an MP. She has not given her
Yeah.
job yet. Like that's
So
allowed. She's not even
she's still
here.
getting her MP salary.
Of course.
And it's she was a minister, so it's what, 300 and something thousand?
$309,000 as per
Oh,
2025. Yeah.
that is
And she
that's no
gets
wonder.
to
Right.
do her job from not Canada.
Yeah,
It's
that's crazy.
I don't even know what
Crazy,
to
crazy.
say to this, man. It's just completely insane. It's absolutely completely insane.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I mean, I it's been good. I don't know that there's a fix for it. Obviously, there is a fix, but like, there's no political will for it. I mean, what else do you expect when you give any group the power to decide their own benefits and pay? Right? I don't think anyone else gets to do that. But members of parliament
No,
set their own salaries, right? So of course they're going to,
that's basically it.
make themselves extremely generous benefits that are basically a mockery to any working Canadian.
Well, and again, that's the thing, right? It is a mockery, and that was the whole point of me doing the research is kind of to show how are people okay with this? And I know that they're not. It's just they're not aware that this is even happening. This is the biggest problem is that people don't know. Unless you do the research for this, you're not going to be aware that this is what's happening.
No, 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 no. I mean, I think and again, I would expect that the members of parliament would have a benefits package on the upper, like in line with the upper limit of the norm in Canada. You know what I mean? Like benefits packages that say engineers might get or top salesmen might get. But no, there's nobody that has benefits package like that where they're paying your mortgage out, like your salary, and then we're gonna pay your mortgage. And oh, by the way, you could own the building, and we'll just pay your rent to you. And it's crazy, crazy.
It's infuriating when
It
I
is,
can only
yeah,
laugh
it
at it
really is.
because it's just, it's not surprising to me. At the end of the day, I'm not surprised by this, but I kind of still am surprised because I did not expect a number like $700,000 a year that every single MP costs us. It's just insane.
Yeah,
$700,000. What did I say? $220 million a year, man.
wild. And again, what are we getting for it? They're barely working.
You know,
We
yeah.
get we get laws passed to curtail free speech. That's about it.
Uh, I don't know if you heard about this. I forgot. I wanted to talk about it at one point, but there's rumors saying that they want to stop filming question periods of the House of Commons.
Hmm.
They want to stop displaying it, as in they don't believe that this should be available to the public. Those are rumors, but they're starting to get reported. So,
That would
don't,
that would cause an uproar. I think. I would hope.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
We'd
I do
yeah,
not
yeah.
know
Well,
what it's gonna take for people to be pissed off at this, but um, we have to take this comment
yes,
from. Well, we have to take
Ed
from
Trafford,
yes, sir, new
our
member.
newest member.
w-
Welcome aboard, sir.
Welcome aboard, and we definitely need to take this from the same person. Thanks for joining
Ed
us.
Trafford.
Thanks for the tip. So long as we, as one WF globalist puppet, is our government, things will not improve. You know, man, there's so many of them. If you go back to where a lot of politicians started their career, they started as youth in the WEF programs. Like they literally the WEF has a program for youth. They cater to the youth. They train them to become politicians, and a lot of the liberals have gone through that. Like and again, this is not a left versus right issue because most people don't know this, but Pierre Poilievre was on the WEF website until just before the last election. He was removed from it, but he was on there. So a lot of people are part of the WEF. Like last in the Bilderbergs, they met in Davos, Switzerland, just before the WEF this year. And guess who was there? Christian Freeland was there. Our Minister of Finance was there. So you have closed doors, negotiation, conversation, conventions with some of the most powerful people in on the planet. Our Some of our ministers are going there. They don't tell us really what it's about, but if you go back to last year, the Bilderbergs, one of their talking point last year, and you can go to their website, it's still there. One of their talking points was depopulation and mass immigration. Like this is literally on their website. You can still find that information today. It's all are supposed to work for us.
What did they
Sure.
say about it?
Cool. We don't see
More,
the full.
more,
Yeah.
more.
Well, obviously, they don't want less depopulation. Obviously.
or mass immigration.
No, of course not. Why would they want that? Why would they ever want that, right?
Racist.
You're pretty racist, brother. I don't know if there's some
Yeah.
comments you want to take because we got some time. Sorry, guys. I thought we could talk about this more, but I kind of went on and on and on. It's so much information that kind of blew my mind.
Let me see here. Sand Raking says Canadian suckers paying 42% tax or 42% of salary to tax till June or July, then pay income tax plus all their taxes. Yeah, I think when you factor in income tax, GST, like your sales tax, which is a tax on your money that was already taxed, I'd say the effective tax rate is probably over 50%.
42.3% is the stat that he's talking about. That comes from Fraser Institute from last year.
That includes GST and everything that you, okay.
They go for all taxes, federal, provincial, municipal, but the average working Canadian pays 42.3% of their income to some type of tax. Like when I was working for the man as a sales engineer, I was making couple $100,000 a year, and I was half of my salary was gone, man. Literally half of my salary, and that doesn't count the GST. That was just at the fucking source, man. Half the salary is basically out of the door. So, yeah, man, it's
that's crazy. San Reagan says, Trevor Benson says, we have zero laws in place to hold them accountable. Do we honestly think they don't do it? Well, yeah, I mean, I don't even like none of this is hidden. I don't think.
No.
Oh, I suppose he was probably talking about, doing, say, buying the building that you're renting out of, which technically would probably be illegal. I'm sure they all do it, but I'm sure there's that wink, wink, nudge, nudge going on with the claims board. But yes, technically, there are, I would say, typical corruption laws would apply here, but that only counts if they actually get enforced, right? Laws are only as good as the authorities' willingness to enforce them, and I got a feeling like this is all kind of out in the open.
No, you don't say. You don't think they would enforce it against themselves? Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We investigated ourselves and we determined there was no wrongdoing.
Oh yeah, like the police investigating themselves. Yeah. Cool.
We've determined
there was no wrongdoing. We did it as it should have been. Thank you for trusting us.
Yeah. Is there any more that you want to take, or do you want to wrap it up?
Oh, if you have some comments that you want to take, I'm happy to take them. As I said, I didn't realize that it would go for that long. It's just pure insanity, man. Pure insanity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Trevor says that's cute. Rob thinks our government follows the law. No, no, of course not. I mean, I think I guarantee you, a ton of these guys are maxing out those benefits in ways that personally benefit them, in ways that I think are against the law. But it's one of those things that I'm sure everybody does it. They probably, some of them might not for the first year or two, and then I'm sure that they get taken under the wing by the 5 or 6 or 10 year veteran, and it tells them, here's how we really do it. Yeah,
Yep.
I mean that's how that shit works. Um,
Just the fact that insider trading is such a joke. Everybody knows that they're
yeah,
doing it. Nobody cares.
well,
You,
yeah,
you know, at the end of the day, ask yourself this. This is a question I ask for anybody out there. Do you trust politicians? Like, do you trust your government? If you agree that you don't, what they do, you have no idea what they really do. If I'm able to find that with a few hours of research, imagine when they have accountants that are trained, that they've been in the system for decades, that they know all the loopholes, they know all the little tricks. And then those members of parliament go to very specific people that probably make a killing giving those advices or making or doing your taxes at the end of the year. Obviously, you know that they're taking advantage of it. If you don't trust the person in the first place, they know that. Politicians are not stupid. They know we don't trust them. That's why they get away with so much shit, because we don't trust them. We don't like them, but yet we keep voting for them like we like the system. It's the psychology behind the voting mentality in Canada or around the world is fascinating. It's almost like shit, what's the name? What is it called? The Stockholm syndrome. We don't
oh
like
yeah,
that
yeah.
system, but we're dependent on it. We don't
We
know
keep
what else to do.
keep voting for it. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. It does seem like there's a lot of stuff that has popular support that doesn't ever get passed, and it definitely makes you wonder. Like you look down at, say, the voting ID laws down in the states. Something like 85% of the polled public thinks that you should need a piece of ID to vote, and yet it does not. It does not ever get passed, right? It makes you, that kind of stuff really makes you wonder. Even if you do, like, I can't say I trust government, certainly not lately, but I'd like to be able to. I just, I'd like to be able to give these guys the benefit of the doubt, but they just haven't really done anything to earn that.
No, no, there's maybe that guy. What was it? I'm gonna try to remember his name because
Uh,
I Mike
the
Dawson,
drywaller.
I
It was
think
just
was his name.
Mike Dawson. Yeah,
Mike
yeah,
Mike Dawson. I'm gonna remember that name because there's not a lot of guys like him.
yeah, yeah. There aren't. Fair play. Good on him. All right, folks, we're gonna put a pin in her there. Yes, went a few minutes overboard. That's all good. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we did intend to open the floor a little bit than we did, but yeah, once you kind of get down to the weeds and then some of these things, you kind of got to go all the way. If you are just tuning in and you want to help support the show, please consider becoming a member. You can do that through YouTube for the low price of $2.99 per month. You can also buy us a coffee, which you can see in the QR code in your upper left-hand corner of your screen. And of course, another way you can do it is just keep coming back. Throw out those comments. We'll get to them, whether agree with it, disagree with us, what have you. Throw them out there, and because this show is all heavily based on audience participation. Other than that, folks,
Uh,
have a great rest of your evening.
hold
And
on, just so you know,
oh, you
sorry
got
to cut you
something?
off. Just so you know, yeah, tomorrow a guy that you actually really like, the food
Yeah.
professor,
Oh, nice,
is
nice.
joining us tomorrow because he kind of exposed something how we spoke about this, how much milk is wasted every year.
Yeah. It's a
There's a
big
new report
scandal.
that came out. Yeah, there's a new report. Did you see the new numbers that came
No,
out?
I haven't seen that. No,
Something
what is it?
something insane like 10 10 million gallon just in November in Ontario were it was done. It was just like 10 million liters or something like that. Don't quote me on the numbers, but I invited him to. He's going
Nice,
to be on
nice.
the show tomorrow to talk about
Always
this.
like
So yeah.
when Sylvan.
Oh yeah, I like that. I like the guy. So friend of the
Yeah,
show, the food
he's cool
professor is
guy.
going to join us tomorrow. Yeah, man.
Nice, nice. All right, folks. Have a great evening. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Peace.
Peace.